Welcome back, Doug. You all know who he is. He doesn't need an introduction. This is Doug Brignole. We have him back to address a lot of questions you guys have, a lot of things that need just more clarity, perhaps. They need to be more clearly defined, because as you guys know, when you know the exact how and why of something, your belief in it is 100-fold better, and you just do it with full on, pedal to the metal, no second guessing, nothing. That's why I think education is so important when it comes to fitness. But let's just go ahead and dig right into it, Doug. This is something I haven't got into with you before, actually, but what are your thoughts on stretching? When is there a best way to stretch? Is there, just like there's a best way to exercise every muscle, is it simply the reverse to stretch that muscle? How frequently should you stretch? And what's that have to do with your posture? Stretching in general.
I don't think you could get a definitive answer on this from anyone. I've read a lot of articles from a lot of people that claim expertise. I'm sure there's lots of people that never ever stretch and they don't ever have a consequence for it. And there's lots of people that stretch on a regular basis that maybe still have problems they had before. There's probably some people that maybe resolved some problems with stretching. But again, I just don't think there's a definitive thing for this. I'm lucky enough in the sense that I've got a client that I stretch with as her 3 times weekly exercise plan. So for me, that works. That's perfect. I mean, 3 times a week of stretching with her is satisfactory for my, stretching needs. We stretch quadriceps, hamstrings, inner thigh, glutes, calves, rear deltoids, all that, neck. I'm not a huge proponent of it in terms of saying, if you don't do it, here's the consequence. I think it's the kind of thing that it will make you feel better. There's no doubt of that. And if you do it, regularly, you will feel better. Will you grow bigger muscles? No, I don't think you'll grow bigger muscles. Will it fix your posture? If you have bad posture, I don't think it will fix your posture. It might help it a little bit, but I don't think it'll cause someone to go from really slumped shoulders to perfectly straight shoulders, because so much of that has to do with habit and maybe even genetics, and maybe, whether or not those muscles are even strong enough. A lot of people think that if they work the muscles that pull their shoulders back, that will automatically fix their posture. And I would say, well, if you think that, then what you're actually thinking is that because you've strengthened those muscles are going to be tight, contracted all the time, and pulling them back for you. It's like, no, if you look at someone with good posture and you go up to their back and you poke their back, their muscles aren't tense. That's just their habit. That's just their natural, relaxed standing position. You've got to learn how to stand that way and make that a regular part of your habit to the degree that your genetics allows you. But I've seen some people with such bad skeletal genetics that there's just no way they could ever get good posture.
If I could interject, just something I actually advocate stretching a lot is I see stretching necessary tons of times when it comes to running and jogging. And the reason for that is if you have super tight hamstrings, you can't actually run or jog efficiently. So you do actually have to stretch those. Rarely does it seem to interfere with much else. Sometimes tight calves will interfere with things, but I don't know too much else you need to be doing the stretching for, except for obviously for those of you who follow my respiratory bit, you do have to obviously stretch your vertebrae and such for improving breathing function. But that's my 2 cents on the matter.
I saw one study where they wanted to see whether or not people who stretched, athletes who stretched, incurred injury less often than people who didn't stretch. And they found that it didn't. There was no less incident of injury. What they did find makes a difference in injury reduction is warming up the body. So if you're a football player or track and field or whatever your sport happens to be, the best thing you can do is probably jog beforehand. Just elevate your body temperature, get the blood circulating. That's going to probably reduce injury risk more than stretching. The thought that stretching is going to reduce the injury would only make sense if you think the injuries are happening as a result of muscles being too tight. I don't think anyone's conclusively said the reason why injuries happen is because muscles are too tight. I don't think that's the case. And you certainly don't want to stretch before exercise anyway. You want to stretch after exercise when things are warm. So, yeah, it's one of those things where, I find myself stretching my quadricep in the middle of the day because it feels good to do that. But I would not say that I expect my quadriceps to get bigger or that I expect me to have like better athletic performance because I do that now and then. I just know that I feel better when I do it.
I think that kind of goes to just, more comfort level, I guess. If a muscle is starting to feel tight, you just stretch it out, it feels better. I mean, it's
Yeah,
kind
right.
of just kind of the benefits of it are, I don't want to say debatable, because obviously if you're able to do a front split or able to do you have to do these things, then you have to stretch to do them. So those are benefits for specific things.